The wait is over. Series 10 has finally begun. And just before we start, this Easter egg looks amazing. A chocolate Dalek Easter egg. Happy Easter, everyone. Let's begin. Episode 1 of Series 10, the pilot review. Let's do this. Happy Easter, everyone, and welcome back to the first review of Series 10. Yes, and judging by my reaction, I thoroughly enjoyed episode 1 of Series 10. The pilot was an amazing episode. I can't agree more. It was, in my word, refreshing. Absolutely refreshing start to the show. It was really likeable, and I thoroughly enjoyed the entire episode. Mainly, I really enjoyed Bill's performance, and also with the 12th Doctor as well, and their relationship with each other. And I just loved the performance and the reactions from Bill, from having a traumatic loss over not seeing her mum, and then to her bewildered reactions to the TARDIS. And wow, Bill was amazing, really fantastic, and she was very different, very real, and very normal companion than many other companions within Stephen Moffat's era. You had Amy and Rory and Clara, which in my opinion, they felt really similar in my opinion, because with the Doctor, with Matt Smith's Doctor, when they were meeting up with Clara and also with Amy and Rory, both of them had very similar likings. But with Bill and Capaldi, I would have to say that it's almost like opposite contrasts, which were really different in my opinion, because most of the time, Bill would usually object and disagree what the Doctor's talking about, and most of half the time, Bill won't understand the Doctor, and the same thing goes with the Doctor not understanding Bill as well. So it comes to the point where I thought the relationship and the contrast and the performance from both of them were absolutely astonishing. Fantastic. And many people would criticizing over whether Nardole was really good in this, and I'm not too sure myself. I think it depends really if you're a big fan of Matt Lucas. If you don't like him, then I very much you would like him in this episode, because he didn't really add much to the episode, because if he was out of the episode, it wouldn't make a difference, because I felt many people said that Nardole was really annoying. He kind of ruined most of the scenes for other people. In my head, I kind of think that I really want to defend Nardole, because I really like Matt Lucas and I really like Nardole. But I thought in this episode, did he really do much? Although in the starting, 1 or 2 minutes or so, where we had the little hearing of, his robotic arm, which made me think, is Nardole a robot? And it did the Doctor put Nardole's back together again as a robot or an android. So I was really interested just to see, is Nardole seems human, but he's actually a robot. So that's something for a little future reference. I saw a little piece of machinery coming out of Nardole, and he slid it underway the table. So it means something that he is like a robot in Series 10. But we'll get on to a bit more about Nardole later on. But I just have to say that I really enjoyed the plot. I thought it was really straightforward, really simple. It was non-complicated, if you could say, because it didn't really have like a complicated storyline. It felt really simple, and I thought the concept of the puddle and how it kind of shape shifts into a spaceship was really an original idea. I don't think Doctor Who has ever done that before, where a puddle suddenly becomes a spaceship and actually takes the hold of a human being and eats the human being, and then actually possesses and comes out in the appearance of what it last ate as the human girl, who actually seems very human, but gave me the kind of vibe that it's almost like a reference to the waters of Mars. And with the flood, I've really got that reaction and the vibe that I actually felt that the puddle and Heather, the character that was spitting out all the water, really felt as a character from the waters of Mars, the monster, as the flood. So I definitely got the vibe, but also with a Midnight vibe as well. From series 4 of Doctor Who, with David Tennant's era, Midnight, one of the most brilliant Doctor Who stories, I also got that vibe as well, where Bill and Heather were talking to each other, where Bill was speaking from one word, "You're dead," and then Heather said, "You're dead." So it's like a Midnight vibe I also got as well. So I was really, really fantastic. And they made it so subtle that you wouldn't even recognise that it was from the waters of Mars. I just really noticed that it was such a very original idea to make Heather as a really, really relatable villain. Well, shouldn't say villain, I should say monster or love interest, because Bill was really attracted to Heather in this sense. Although Bill is gay in the entire series, I sort of saw what Stephen Moffat did with the love interest. Instead of a boy, it was instead of a girl, because if it was a boy, would it be a bit more awkward and a bit more odd? I really liked it how it was just a girl, and how they went along with together, and how their love interest really made it so emotional to everybody. And we live in the 21st century, so of course we have same-sex relationships, and so it's fine to have a same-sex relationship. And I think in this episode it really strengthened up Bill's performance, and just to see her love interest with Heather and her reaction to, you know, losing Heather as well. So it actually felt more of a tragedy, like I did in my preview for the pilot about a tragedy or catastrophe that could happen in this episode. That I really got that reaction that since Heather was, you know, departed within the final moments of the episode, really gave Bill more of a tragedy and like a catastrophe to lose somebody that you honestly loved. So I really liked that, and I liked the relationship between Heather and Bill. I thought that was a really great connection. I mean, their connection was really great, and I liked it how she just really wanted to leave, and the way she had a star in her eye, like her, I think it was the right eye, she had a star in her eye. It was like a defect, just basically trying to cover up what's in her eye. It was actually a star. So that's where Stephen Moffat picked out the title Star in Her Eye. It would have made sense if it was in Bill's eye. That would be really good. But I think when it came to Heather, I think the pilot really made sense, because the puddle was really interesting. Although it wasn't really complicated at all, the puddle actually spoke. Like somebody underneath the puddle was talking about a pilot or a passenger on board. So when Heather looked into the puddle and looked at her reflection, the puddle found a passenger or a pilot. So the puddle, in this sense, is the spaceship. As you can see in the episode where there was just a puddle and then you see all the scorch marks in the hexagon, the puddle was like a representation of a shape-shifting spaceship and remained in the shape of a puddle. And when it saw Heather, it saw what it needed, a passenger, and it possessed her in some way. And it was such an original idea that the plot was really unique, original, and I absolutely liked the plot, because it was really simple, not really complicated at all. And I thought where Peter Capaldi was actually looking in the puddle, was like, oh, because you're looking at your reflection, it looks wrong because it looks right. And so it was a bit confusing, but I fully understand it now after a few watches at it, and it was really understandable. And the shocks, I got so many shocks and terrors in this episode. It had so much within this episode. It had some great highs and also some great lows as well. I think the great highs was those scenes from where Bill was in her apartment and there was nobody around, but there was a shower going on. And was it the fact that the water could actually travel to different places, and could it really intimidate Bill and really scare her? So that was really terrifying. The way she was trying to defend herself with an umbrella was really unique, but you know, she was trying to make herself a bit more decent, of a very not very afraid companion. But then when she looked into the shower and she saw nobody, but then she looked into the plug hole and then she saw the little star and she completely backed off. It was so scary. I was like, that was really one terrifying moment that I absolutely loved. And I think in this episode, it really meant that there was an absolute really big threat. I know many people didn't really thought that the puddle was a big of a threat. I honestly thought that the puddle was really ingenious, and I thought it was a really, really subtle threat. I mean, you wouldn't really think that that puddle would be the threat of the entire story, but I saw it was a very light threat that you could probably like move away and sidetrack and concentrate on Bill. Those scenes were just amazing. I think it was one scene of where the Doctor and Nardole were inside the vault and were trying to figure out, you know, how to get inside the vault and keep it on guard, where Bill was just completely exposed to the TARDIS. And it was one scene of where Heather was just in the little shot. I mean, there was like a 1 second shot of Heather just standing there, and it really, really terrified me. It was one scene that I absolutely loved, but really, really terrified me in some sense. And I think in this episode, you had to have some shocks and a few terrors, because it would make the whole story really, really likeable and really enjoying, because you will have to have a few scares and a few frights within Doctor Who, because that's what Doctor Who's all about, to get yourself behind the sofa and be really terrified at a Doctor Who episode. And I thought this episode really had some brilliant moments. And unfortunately, I do really want to move on to the bad things about the episode, because there were some unfortunate things that I didn't really like about the episode. And many people would say about Nardole. Now, it's fine if you probably hate me for liking Nardole. However, I do like Nardole in some case, because I thought in this episode he was good. He wasn't brilliant, he wasn't great, he was good, he was okay. But I do have to think that he definitely has more to prove, because I saw in this episode he didn't have much to do. And I saw him appearing now and again, just saying a funny line, because he is just there for a bit of comic relief. But did I really see him for an actual purpose? Sort of. I sort of saw that. I thought he was just really there to say a funny line, whereas most of his lines weren't really funny at all. But he felt more of a companion that to be very annoyed by. I know many people's reactions to Nardole, that Nardole was being very annoying, and Nardole actually kind of ruined some brilliant moments for other people. And so many people have an agenda to go against Nardole because they just don't like him as a character or as a companion, and they just really hate him in general. So I could just really see that the fans are going to just lose faith in Nardole. However, I am giving Nardole so many chances, and I just wish that maybe if he just believes, and if Stephen Moffat gives Nardole a brilliant episode where he actually does something and get involved, it would be a really, really great moment for Nardole, because it would make me accept him as a Doctor Who companion. Whereas now, I sort of see I have many question marks over my head whether I would accept him or not, because I didn't really see a lot of Nardole today, because he was very unusual. He was very odd and very awkward at sometimes. He made sense at quite a couple of times. He threw the sonic screwdriver in the air, making himself so much cooler, and he thinks that he knows the Doctor, whereas he's only been in 3 episodes, and I don't know if he hardly knows the Doctor at all. So I just don't really see Nardole knowing the Doctor as much. But I do like Nardole and Peter Capaldi working together. I think those two, when they work together so brilliantly. Although Nardole does make fun of the Doctor at times, but that's how the Doctor's like. And it's just there to annoy the Doctor, but it's good for Nardole to get a laugh out of the Peter Capaldi as well. So I do like how Nardole is trying his best in these episodes, but I could just see how the fans are losing faith in him and losing to accept Nardole as a companion. So that's my only downfall for this episode, is that Nardole didn't really have much to do, but he was good, and many people thought he was very annoying within most of the moments that were completely ruined by his performance and his silly little jokes in it. But another thing that I didn't really like, but I actually thought it was a really good thing. Many people really criticised on whether the Daleks were the big thing about this episode. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Unfortunately, the Daleks only came into the episode very briefly, and it didn't really add much to the story at all. Unfortunately, the Doctor, Bill and Nardole were all caught up in trying to get away from Heather, and, you know, to see if she can not travel through, like, you know, the time and space and travel to all these different planets. And then the Doctor brought Heather to the to see if Heather would survive in a place where the Daleks would exterminate her. But actually, in fact, Heather actually took over a Dalek, and when Peter Capaldi was almost going to be exterminated by a Dalek with Bill as well, the Dalek didn't exterminate at all. It felt sick. It didn't have a very exterminating voice. It didn't have the voice that a Dalek would usually have. It had a very much of a voice that a Dalek has been ill or very sick or something. So it actually had Heather taking over the Dalek and just being almost like a water Dalek. And as you saw in the eye of the Dalek, or the eye stick, you saw the little star in the eye, which knew that Heather took over or possessed the Dalek in some way. And it was almost for a moment that it actually felt more of a water Dalek, which I actually like the concept of a water Dalek. However, did the Dalek add to the story? No, I think it was only there just to be of a cameo, because I think what I've heard that if Stephen Moffat or Doctor Who don't include the Daleks, then, I mean, they don't have to include the Daleks, but if they don't include the Daleks, then Doctor Who could lose the right to use the Daleks again. So it's unfortunate that they have to use the Daleks in as many episodes as they can, but it's just a bit unfortunate that they had to include it in this episode, because I doubt the Daleks were really necessary. But I don't mind the Daleks in this episode. I thought just take it with a pinch of salt and it'll be completely fine. Because I thought the Daleks were a great threat to introduce to Bill, because Bill has never seen a Dalek before, and it's such a great chance to see Peter Capaldi and Bill running away from the Dalek. It's Bill's first time seeing a Dalek and she doesn't know what a Dalek is, and the Doctor says, it doesn't matter, it's a Dalek. And then basically they just run away, because it's to Bill's mind that she's been introduced to all of this sci-fi stuff. And the one thing that I noticed from Bill's reaction, that she knows sci-fi. She's seen Star Trek, she's seen Star Wars, and all of these other movies on Netflix, which the Doctor hasn't got a flipping clue what Netflix is. Hasn't really seen movies at all, and to be honest, it was to the point where Bill wasn't actually bewildered and amazingly exposed and unbelievably amazed by everything in the TARDIS and also the explosions. I think it was more to her that she recognised all of this through sci-fi with Star Trek and Star Wars. She didn't really seem very much bewildered, but she did seem amazed by how it's big on the inside. And then Nardole finally celebrated, yay, we got to that point, we did it! So yeah, I really loved Bill in this episode, and I just loved how she wasn't bewildered, because she's seen most of this on sci-fi television shows, and so it really felt familiar to her that she hadn't experienced all of this before in like movies and stuff. So I thought that was really great that she wasn't really bewildered by all of this. So I thought that was really good. But unfortunately with the Daleks, and many people will criticise over whether the Daleks were absolutely necessary in this episode, I would have to say no, because it just didn't really add anything to the episode, and many people really didn't like the Daleks being there, because they didn't need to be there. But oh well, never mind. But anyway, at least it finished the whole episode on a high, because when Bill was trying to say goodbye to Heather, it's the point where Heather actually invites Bill and takes her on a ride all throughout the universe, and it was almost like that Heather was leading Bill into a trap, and Bill had to let go and just say goodbye to Heather, and Heather was just completely departed or vanished and melted into the ground and was never seen again. And just to have that as an ending, as Bill's catastrophe, because obviously in the preview, as I did, mentioning about a catastrophe. I think this was the catastrophe that Bill had a love interest, and unfortunately she lost the person that she had an interest for. I thought that was a tragedy that she absolutely experienced, a loss over missing somebody, and so will she ever see her Heather again? So it was really emotional for that. So I definitely thought that Bill was absolutely amazing, really fantastic. And the way that she had so many tears from just seeing her, since she is an adopted person and she has a foster mum, and I can see that her foster mum doesn't really like Bill at all, and they don't really get along quite well. But just to see the old photos of Bill's mum, and just to see all of the tears coming down her eyes, it kind of felt of a very emotional reaction for her to experience all of these missing photos of her mum she hasn't seen before. And it really relates to us. If we never saw a parent that we loved and we never saw them ever as a child, imagine if we had a chance to look at the photos of what they look like, how would we feel? And that was so relatable to Bill. And the one thing about Bill's companion is that she is so relatable to everyone, and she just really is so special in one certain shape or way. She is so normal, and the way that she is so normal makes her so special. She is so refreshing, and she is absolutely a new sense of fresh air to the show. That's one word or one phrase that I would describe Bill. A fresh sense of fresh air to the show. Really fantastic. I just really have to say that Bill was the star of the show initially. Really, she was absolutely amazing. Refreshing as ever, and the way that she picked up all these classic funny lines, quick fire answers and quick fire questions that no other companion would usually ask, like where's the toilet and like that. So I definitely thought that Bill, with her classic quick fire answers and her questions, really made Peter Capaldi bewildered on what the hell was she talking about. And for most of half the time, I can't really understand what Peter Capaldi is talking about. But as him in this episode, as a lecturer, oh my gosh. I wish if I had the chance to go to a university, or if I had him as a tutor, I would honestly love to have Peter Capaldi as a lecturer, because I felt his doctor is so open to, and I thought that the lecture thing really helped out with his doctor, because he's quite an open doctor. He's very dark and mysterious, like in series 8, but he has that kind of rock star doctor, but with a bit more lightheartedness in series 9. And I had a mixture from series 9 and from series 8 to make up Peter Capaldi's personality, his doctor in series 10. So I had a bit of both from series 8 and from series 9. So as a massive fan of Peter Capaldi, I had to say that Peter Capaldi in this episode was truly phenomenal. I loved it where he was so different to the Doctor that we knew in the Christmas specials. I know we've had 2 Christmas specials, and I knew from his performance in those 2 Christmas specials, he was very light-hearted, and his performance really dragged with the Christmas specials, since there were more light-hearted episodes. But I thought in this episode, I really identified who Peter Capaldi really was as the Doctor. I saw a little bit of series 8, the darker Doctor, more mysterious Doctor that we knew from series 8, the rock star Doctor, and the more light-hearted, determined Doctor from series 9. And I had a mix-up from all of them within this episode. Peter Capaldi, as a huge fan I am of Peter Capaldi, I absolutely adored this episode to absolute bits, and I think his performance with Bill was amazing. I think the connection between Bill and Capaldi was absolutely amazing from the start, was really fantastic, and I thought at the end was really, really good as well. The way that Bill was almost so authoritative to Peter Capaldi, and it also mentioned in where the Doctor was trying to mind wipe Bill's mind of all of the travels, fighting the Daleks, and all of this has happened throughout the episode. He was going to brainwash Bill of all of this memories. But Bill made one great point to the Doctor. what would happen if somebody mind wiped you and of all of your adventures? And that made me such curious on what was that a reference to. And I remembered one episode in particular that many people wouldn't really remember at all. Hellbent. Now, of course, Hellbent is one of the most controversial episodes that many people hate and many people like, but I remembered of where Peter Capaldi made a choice whether he loses memories of Clara or whether Clara loses memories of the Doctor. And it was such a reference to that, I felt really emotional. And in the background, it had the melody of Clara's theme, but it was really, really different. Not as Clara's theme, it was the same melody, but in a different style, and I thought that was really touching. And although I do like Clara as a companion, I know many people can be criticising over why do I like Clara, I might have to do in another video, because if you guys really want to know why do I like Peter Capaldi or why do I like Clara, then make sure you stick around on my channel, because I will be doing a video on maybe why do I like that, but maybe we'll do it sometime maybe after series 10. But anyway, I really liked how that was really, really touching, because it really touched me and made me so emotional. And it was so emotional for the Doctor just to say shut up to Susan, also to River Song. And it almost felt that he was trying to promise himself never to go time traveling with another companion again. And then suddenly he decided to change his mind and say, oh, what the hell? I mean, that's really the reaction that the Doctor would usually give, like, right, I'm not traveling with any more companions, and then saying, but Bill is so really interesting and I really want to, you know, go on more adventures with her, because she's one companion and she's one person who feels really normal, and she is a sight of fresh air to the show. And the Doctor's like, what the hell? And then Bill gets up into the TARDIS, and then the episode finishes. But that's not all. The next time trailer for Smile, which I'm really intrigued by. I know many people aren't really too excited about the Emoji Planet with the episode called Smile. And I'm actually really intrigued because it's a modernization of many people using emojis nowadays, and it's one thing whether do many people really have a fear of using emojis, and so it's going to be so great. And then the coming soon teaser of just looking at all the epic screenshots through the teaser trailer, and one screenshot in particular really hyped me up. Like, seriously, am I just getting so agitated or what? But we saw epic screenshots of John Sims Master just looking like... If I had the chance, if I could find it sometime, I would literally show it you guys. But wow, John Sims Master, that screenshot was unbelievably epic. That was the last ever screenshot before it went into the ending credits. But wow, that's really exciting me for Series 10 more than anything, to see what episode will John Sims Master appear in. I'm not too sure what episode will he appear in, but though there's also a regeneration scene. I don't know, but oh my gosh, the coming soon teaser is absolutely amazing. I'm gonna have to show it you guys. I'll put the link in the description down below so you can go and check it out for yourself. And if you haven't seen episode 1 of series 10, the pilot, then make sure you go and check it out right now, because this episode was absolutely an amazing episode. The star of the show has to be Bill. Her performance, her reactions to the TARDIS, those classic one-liners, those silly classic little jokes like, "You run like a penguin with his arse on fire." That is just one line that I absolutely just so laughed out loud because it was so funny. And wow, that was so good. Really fantastic. I couldn't agree more with that line, that the Doctor runs like a penguin with his arse on fire. That really cracked me up, seriously. Wow, but Peter Capaldi in this episode, I fully loved his performance in this, and the way he is such a great lecturer is absolutely amazing. The way he's so open to everybody, and he talks in a sense way that I can really understand him, and the way that he chooses his words so correctly. I absolutely love it where he puts all of those words together and makes true sense. And that is the reason why I absolutely love Peter Capaldi's Doctor. And I really loved his performance with Bill as well. Absolutely phenomenal performance from Bill and Capaldi. Nardole, on the other hand, okay performance. But I do really want to see more from Nardole in Series 10. Because I felt in this episode, many people didn't really accept him as a great companion. Because he's been in 3 other episodes, whereas Bill, this has been her first. And we can already say that Bill is the more likeable companion. Whereas with Nardole, definitely has many question marks over people's heads. But I will give him many chances to prove himself. Is he worthy enough as a companion? So I would leave him for many more chances to come and just see, will he prove himself to be a real great companion? But I have to say, the star of the show had to be Bill. Really fantastic performance. Her reactions to all of the different tragedies, the TARDIS reactions, wow, and the scares were absolutely incredible. I mean, Heather as the villain, or should I say the monster in this episode, was so scary and really terrifying. And I thought Heather was a really interesting character. And from Bill's point of view, it made me like Heather and really was intrigued by her character in this episode. So I thought that everything from Bill's point of view really intrigued me with this entire episode. I think Bill is such a refreshing and relatable character that we can all relate to. She is realistic, she is normal, and that's the most special thing about her. She is realistic and she's a very real, normal human being, as she's been introduced to everything outside time and space. The TARDIS reactions and the little scene where basically Bill looks out through the door and it's all completely black, and then the TARDIS lights just ping out for moments, and like, oh my gosh, that scene was beautiful. I can't express how amazing that shot was of the TARDIS, of where it was so dark for a couple moments and then the lights just come on. Oh my gosh, that scene was amazing. So beautiful shots, and that's just one of the reasons why I absolutely love this episode. It feels like a real modernization of Doctor Who. It feels so amazing. I mean, the quality really stands out for this episode. It's so fantastic, and I can't really say much more. I think the plot is really original and really unique. It had a sense of a Waters of Mars vibe, with the kind of the flood mentioning of how Heather was completely transformed into a flood kind of character from the Waters of Mars, and then it also had a midnight vibe of where Bill was talking to Heather and they were repeating words to each other, and it was really, really scary just to see Heather just being a very terrifying threat in this episode. I wouldn't say the Daleks are much of a terrifying threat, but no, I wouldn't say the Daleks they don't really have much to do in this episode. But it introduces Bill to the Daleks and it made her think, what is a Dalek? And then the Doctor says, no, it doesn't matter, it's a Dalek, let's just get out of here. So it was really of a short notice because I really want to see her reactions to the Daleks. I know we had it in like that the introduction to Bill in like last year. I really wanted to see that scene, but I thought they cut it out a bit, so just to make the episode shorter. But oh well, never mind. But I can certainly say that the Daleks definitely do need to have a bit more improvement to them as a villain, because now I don't really see them as a very intimidating threat, although they pop up now and again. But it just happens that it's a cameo, and I like it of how it's only a cameo. It's not really affecting the entire story, so I actually get by the Daleks in this episode. But if they had a bit more role in this episode, then my ratings would go down from this episode. But my overall rating of this amazing episode, it would have to be a 9 out of 10, because it's Doctor Who, for goodness sake. We haven't had Doctor Who, an actual official series on Doctor Who, for over like 2 years or so. It's been so long since we've had an actual series again, and wow, I've missed Doctor Who so much, and I think this is the way to bring back Doctor Who and also to intrigue new viewers to the show. An absolutely fantastic episode. Honestly, I'm so excited for more, and I think Series 10 of Doctor Who really started off with a bang, and I think this episode was truly phenomenal. Absolutely an amazing episode to kick off Doctor Who Series 10. Fantastic episode. Bill was just tremendously brilliant, but Nardole definitely needs a bit more appreciated in much of the further episodes, and also Peter Capaldi was so amazing. And also one thing I forgot to mention, the vault underneath the university. What is inside the vault? Do comment down below your opinions of this episode, but also comment down below what could be inside that vault that the Doctor's guarding. And is it well guarded? I mean, come on. The Doctor actually left the vault unguarded, where the Doctor and Nardole were actually chasing, you know, Heather with Bill as well. And so, what's actually in that vault? I mean, I have maybe a sneaky suspicion. Could it be the remains of Johnson's master? Maybe his ashes or something? I don't know. Or could it be his regeneration chamber? I'm not too sure, but it's going to be really intriguing to see what is behind that vault. And I definitely have a suspicion that the vault will definitely come back in this series. It won't be just there just for this episode, it will come back. That vault underneath the university is certainly one question that definitely needs to be answered in this series. It will definitely come back, so I'm hoping for an explanation. What's behind those doors? What's inside the vault? I'm really intrigued. But again, this episode was truly amazing, and what a great way to start off Doctor Who in the beginning of Easter. And it was just absolutely an amazing episode. Absolutely an amazing, phenomenal, epic start to Doctor Who Series 10. It was really fantastic. Anyway guys, thank you for watching for this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Make sure you do leave a like on this video and also comment down below your thoughts on this episode of Series 10. And make sure you do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because we have more exciting Doctor Who reviews coming soon, especially the next time trailer for Smile, which I will do a preview for Friday, which I will hopefully do one soon. But guys, thank you for watching for this video, and also just to say that I got this for Easter. Yes. For many Doctor Who fans, this is a chocolate Easter egg of a Dalek. To be honest with you, I don't know how lucky I'm getting with all these Easter egg presents, but, well, what a true way to celebrate Easter with a Dalek Easter egg. Happy Easter everyone, and thank you for watching for this review on the pilot, and I will see you guys next time for the preview for the next episode of Smile with the intimidating emoji robots. So it's going to be quite interesting. Anyway, thank you guys for watching for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.